Yeah.
We got the Gonorail here. She's a looker. Those wheels, dude. Who made those wheels?
It's US Mags, but we got a local distribution company called MHT.
Okay.
And it's my buddy Jason. It was like my first job when I got back from California. Was helping the warehouse with the wheels, but man, they don't make any with that dish. So that offset and that back spacing is limited. The back spacing is like, man, 2 and 2 1/4. And then the only reason they couldn't push it any farther because of the support lip in the back, which is pretty much the integrity of the rim. It keeps it round. Imagine that.
Rims need to be round?
Yeah. So we got a full set of these plus 2 extra in case we bent one. But hey, that wasn't the case. None of them bent. They all held up. And I'm sure that this type of offset kind of wears out the hub quicker. I'm sure it's harder on parts. It reduces the amount of turning radius, but I mean, it's not like we were going in a tight circle anyway. So yeah, man, it's a cool setup, and they're not the heaviest damn wheel. I mean, they're a 2-piece rim because they got to be welded up in the back, but it's relatively light for what we were doing. We weren't going to jump curbs with it or anything, so we were feeling pretty strong about it. And then these Toyos are R888Rs, which are kind of they probably came out maybe a year ago, something like that, but they're a little bit different of a compound, a little bit different of a tread pattern, and we thought that this would be the tire to have. I mean, you go full slick with a couple lines through it, but in my opinion, that's not exactly DOT, even though
It says DOT.
Right.
Yeah.
But to me, I wanted a street tire. I mean, what if we had a wet surface? That was my main concern. I mean, yeah, we were going to do this. We're going to do this out in Arizona, but I mean, what if out of the fluke chance it rained, at least we had some sort of tread? Whereas if we went with a full slick, it would just be messy, man. We wouldn't get to do anything. So
yeah,
I'd compromise a little bit of dry traction for a lot of wet traction if that was the case. So yeah, these are good tires. The rims are good.
So they aired a lot of the build yesterday.
Yeah.
Man, what do you remember most about that build?
Man.
Any hardships or anything?
Honest, no. I mean, the time constraints are always tight with these builds, just because there's so much involved. Getting LUTs here, having LUTs. There's so much on the Gonorail that needed to be custom fabricated, and me and Farmtruck just are not fabricators. We can come up with it in our mind, but when we put it to paper, it's the mad scientist, he's got a day job, man. You can't expect him to just freaking drop everything and start cranking on it. So just not having the right people all the time is the most difficult process. Oh, the freaking Lexan, man. I can tell you that was a pain. I mean, they've never done anything like this. This used to be kind of more of a bubble right here. Like the original State Fair ride was more of a bubble, so you could kind of climb into the front.
Yeah, that looks slick.
Yeah, that's like more like a fighter jet style. Optic Armor designed that. And they put in all new windows. All the Lexan or plexiglass, whatever you want to say it was yellowed and cracked, and it just wasn't going to make the trip. So all the glass had to come out. Optic Armor had to measure all the freaking windows on each side, and then measure this. They made about 5 of these, and they had to cut them and custom make them. That was a real difficult part. Obviously, showing the engine is extremely difficult because it requires 5 people to lift the freaking front. We're still not done. I mean, the thing's like probably 90% done.
Yeah, there's still some work to do.
There is. Just the ease, like this is the door, right?
So this thing didn't have doors, right? So they had to manufacture this door.
It did have doors,
right?
But they slid.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So to get into it, it was a hydraulic door that opened up and then slid back. So we couldn't keep the hydraulics. It was just from 1964, and it was going to take too much work and blah blah blah. So Farmtruck designed this door, which is, your classic gull wing, which was, I kind of wanted this. It needed to be kind of futuristic still, because if we took all the futuristic popular science type of attributes away, I just think that would lose some of its appeal. So Farmtruck and Mad Scientist came up with this, and this door, but it needs the hydraulic shock on it, so you don't have to sit here and hold it. It just needs a few things, man. It just needs to be buttoned up and change. And Farmtruck's a perfectionist, so he wants to take these things and make it right. He needs to redo. He says he wants to redo the stock Trailblazer chassis. The power plant isn't stock. The drivetrain isn't necessarily stock, and we've never had this type of offset. We just don't know what it's going to do. If the brakes are going to work, if it's just going to die, catch on fire, whatever. Right?
Yeah. Let's see if we got any questions.
You show them like the little things, like stainless works. These are the zoomies. This is actual exhaust, right? So the exhaust comes out of there.
Yeah, I can't go too far in there. How this thing turned in testing?
You know what? As long as you're not trying to, turn within like a, I'm trying to think of a radius that it just can't turn. Like its limit is probably about a 20-foot radius. I don't know what that computes to turning wise, but it's about a 20-foot radius circle. So it doesn't turn too bad. It really doesn't, man. And for a race course, quite honestly, it's not a limo. It looks long, but the wheelbase hasn't been altered, so it's still a Trailblazer SS. So however a Trailblazer SS or Jeep Grand Cherokee or however any of those SUVs would typically do on a road course, this does even better in my opinion because of the sticky tires, because we kept the all-wheel drive. We're not sliding out of ourselves. We've increased the steering ratio. Front to rear is a 1-to-1 ratio. We kept an open diff in the front and a limited slip in the rear, so we can still turn without chirping the tires. The turning isn't that bad, man. It's still got power steering. That's the greatest thing ever. So it's really easy to drive.
About how long it took to actually get this built.
Yeah.
So I know they kind of condensed everything down to one episode.
Sure they do, man.
But
They didn't show a lot. In fact, there's so much they didn't show that I don't remember what they cut out or had to cut out because I mean there's just not enough time to make an episode. So a month and a half, I would say 3 months. 3 months, man.
Yeah, I'd say it was pretty close to that.
Yeah, I mean we really just stayed here with the mad scientists and Farmtruck and just thread Jeff Lutz and Ed and me and Lou. We just kind of did what we could. Because no one makes parts for this. In fact, nobody makes very many parts for the Trailblazer SS. There's NorCal SS makes stuff, we call him Trailblazer Tony. Tony helped us out a lot with the suspension components, the KW shocks, the springs, energy suspension bushings all the way around. So we did all we could with the parts available on the market right now, but there just really isn't much for the Trailblazer SS. And then there really isn't anything for a 64 Gonorail. So the biggest problem is finding parts that we need to button up on it.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on Farmtruck for that stuff. Plus it's methanol. So as we kind of talked about on the show, it's just kind of a finicky fuel. It doesn't, right now it's probably what, it's 50 degrees, 40 degrees
Yeah,
out here.
I'd say about 50 something.
Yeah, so it's a little chilly. It's harder to start. It just does not like, in fact you have to use a block cooler on these motors. So you have to plug it in like a diesel truck in the wintertime to put some heat in the oil. It's just we had to do that to keep it cool because there's no access to the radiator.
Yeah.
Right? Like
We'll see here.
it's encapsulated, right? Like so, you get a little bit of access right there.
Oh, big old Pro Charger.
Right. Oh my God, there it is. That's an F. And you can see the plug for the block heater right there. It's just but and all those valves for the oil and to run oil all the way through it. It's a process, man. I got a real thick sway bar on it.
What did this thing end up weighing?
I think it was like, what did it weigh, Terry? Do you remember? 38?
38 is what I kind of...
I thought it tipped the scales around 3,800, 3,880 or something like that. It was close to 4,000 pounds, but with all of us in it, definitely it's at 4,000 pounds. Full fuel, it's 4,000, let's just say it's 4,000 pounds. So it's all SUV, and then the body's at the salvage yard pretty much, just waiting on a buyer. It was a clean truck, but I mean, most people were like, oh, you ruined it. It had a ton of miles on it, man.
I drove the crap out of that thing before you guys ripped it apart.
Yeah, we took it home.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I even agree, but like people were like, oh man, you ruined the Trailblazer. Why don't you save all the Trailblazers, right?
Yeah,
Like,
save them.
Save your money and then go buy all the Trailblazers and save them, right? Like every single car. I mean, every guy that takes a part off his car is essentially ruining this car by modifying it, right? So we just took the body off, right? Like,
Yeah.
We use the motor, we use everything else.
That's kind of what you guys do, is you ruin cars.
Yeah, we skin the buffalo,
Yeah.
right? We use everything. So yeah, we'll probably put that body up for sale. It's a full interior body and all that stuff. We'll probably put it up for sale here in a little bit. I don't know what they're worth.
Yeah.
It wasn't cool enough for a farm truck, I guess. All right.
Got tape on it. Let's put that on the steering wheel. It's from the actual fair. Mad scientists put the dash together, all the gauges, the fire systems. You know, no smoking in here. Well, this thing's got a Rosler tranny in it, tiny little pedals. Oh. This thing's fucking cool. I don't know where Farmtruck or AZN found that thing, but thing's just a little dirty. Oh. Weighs around 3,800 pounds. Man, we can't fire it up right now. It's kind of taken apart. We have to work on it a little bit since we had a tight schedule to get it done. We didn't get everything done that we needed, but so we're just kind of doing what we have time to do now on it. The wheelbase wasn't altered from the Trailblazer SS, so it's the same. Here's that. Headers were built by Jeff Lutz.